Hi everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to try to repair this beautiful micro cassette corder from Sony. So this is the M200. If you haven't seen the first video I did, it was a video review of this beautiful micro cassette corder, which is a different one than this one. That one I had repaired, and I had sold it off since. This one I also had, I think, even before I had the first one, and I didn't never get the chance to repair it, so we're gonna take care of that today. If you haven't seen that video, you can check that one right there. And apart from that, the only thing that's different is that this one had the manual. So as you can see, printed in Japan in '78. Operating instructions. In any case, let's just get on with the repair. So as you can see, the same accessories. There's a charging adapter. There's a earbud for monitoring recording. There's the little winder for the microcassette to take the slack off the microcassette. There are also two included microcassettes, as well as the usually unused and unopened head cleaning tips from Sony. So that's all that comes inside the box. Other than that, let's get on with the repair. So as you can see, it comes in its beautiful, I don't think that this is leather, but it's at least good quality leather. Different than sometimes Sony gives these little pouches that turn to some nasty stuff. You all know what I'm talking about. Apart from that, so this is the device itself. As you can see, it's in quite good shape. There's always a little bit of traces right around here. It's just due to it sitting in its carrying case for so long. That's the back side, and just by its shape, I don't think that this one has been used. It seems that the batteries has leaked in it, and we're gonna take care of that. That's for the device. So let's just get on with it. So we're gonna start with this back side. I think there's only some kind of glue that's sticking to the cables that were kind of glued to the back side of the case with this glue. And next, okay, let's repair it first. After that, we're gonna take care of the battery terminals. So next, we're gonna need to take off this PCB. There will be a few screws to take off. This one is one of them. I think we're also gonna need to take this one off, and I think that's gonna be all. And apart from that, we're just gonna need to free up those wires, which are held in place with a little little wire, just a metal wire. So we're just gonna bend it and leave it in place. Other than that, I think these are just a little bit glued in place right around here. I think that gives us enough space. So we have two belts. There's the first one right here, and there's the second one around here. So as you can see, there is quite a lot of, can get hold of it, a lot of slack in this one, as well as this one. So we have two screws, this one and this one for sure. And after that, I think that's gonna be it. So we just have this screw, which is a normal screw, And after that there is a different kind of screw, but you're just gonna need flathead screwdriver and it's not gonna be a problem. So it's kind of a screw hole inside of a screw kind of thing, just like in some iPhones and stuff. And after that you take off this metal plate, which just kind of serves as a what would you call it, an anchor point, or it basically holds these flywheels in place. So we're gonna take this one off. The next one is a little bit tricky, but I think we're gonna manage. So it just get hold of it. So this one is already a lot slack than it was. We're gonna need some new belts. At least they did not turn into black gunk, so that's a plus, which means there's not a lot of felt on the flywheels themselves, on the spools. That's a plus, but we're just gonna give it a clean, a very quick clean with some alcohol. That's gonna be about it. And we're gonna install some new belts. And lastly, so as you can see, there is not a lot of felt on that cotton bud at all. Next, this little plastic spool. So next I have my assortment of belts right here, and let's see. This one is already open, so let's go with this one. There's a lot of long belts which we're not gonna need. I think the one we're gonna need is gonna be among these. I think this is gonna do it, because when it's stretched to fit the old belt, I don't feel, you know, quite a lot of force. So I think this is gonna be enough. I think it's gonna be perfect, and let's just try it and we're gonna see. So this is the part that's gonna need a little bit of maneuvering, if you will say, and you just need a little bit of patience to put it on the right bed, you can say. So I think we're gonna try this one first. Actually, I think this is gonna be perfect. I actually think that this is some other belt that I kept from a previous repair. So as you can see, this is the already slacked belt, so it was actually smaller in diameter when it was working properly. So let's try this one and let's see. I think it's a little bit slack. No, it's a little bit slack. So let's try one of these. So the smallest of these that I could find is this one. So as you can see, it isn't actually made to be a belt, so it's basically an elastic. So let's try this one first. I think that's gonna be it. Alright, so let's give it a try. Let's hope that it will work, even though that the battery terminal is a little bit corroded. So I think it's not gonna be a problem. I'm just gonna put it back in place, because there's actually this little switch that gets activated whenever you push play, I believe. I think it's the one that operates it. So let's just slide it back in place. It's okay without the thing. We're just gonna test it, and let's see. Okay, it's okay. We're just gonna put it in play, and we're gonna operate the switch manually. There's quite a lot of friction between something. It was actually the motor that was touching this wheel. for whatever reason it was out of place. So let's put on the second belt in place, back in place, and let's try it again. And I think that's gonna be it for this one. So that's perfect, I think. And that's play. Let's try fast forward. So as you saw, it wasn't perfect. So it seems that this gear right here is a little bit cracked, and also the belt was not quite round, as you can see. So it wasn't actually designed to be a belt. So we're gonna do, I think with this one, if it works. Well, it kind of works. Yeah, it works better than I expect. So with this belt installed instead, it actually kind of works, and I think that the little bit of clicking you hear is just due to this little small gear being cracked. I'm gonna try to repair it with some super glue, and we're gonna see the result. On the other hand, the reverse or fast forward works perfect. Okay, but let's see with putting a micro cassette in, and with it having a small, the normal load of the cassette, let's see if it will operate the same. That's good. So let's fast forward, or one of the two. Yeah, so as you can see now, as we have a load, the belt is not working properly anymore. So this one is not gonna do it. I think our best option is this one. It's a little bit more uniform in shape, and I think that this one is the one that's gonna work best. So this one works perfectly. So this one, there's clicking, but that's expected, so I think that's gonna be the one. So I'll take it out, and that way I will apply a little bit of pressure to it as the super glue cures. I'm not sure that you can see the crack, but maybe you will. Yeah, just around there. If you can see my finger through that little bit of crack. So I'm just gonna put a little drop of super glue on this piece of paper, and after that I'm gonna use these tweezers, which these are the ones that I don't quite use a lot, which because they are bent, and to try and get a controlled amount of super glue into this crack, because if we put too much also it will get inside, and it will definitely interfere with the operation of this small little gear. So you can see I'm just basically touching my tweezers to that little drop of super glue, and putting it over the crack. You can actually feel it when you are going over it. I'm not applying a lot of pressure to it right away, kind of hoping that the glue will kind of get into the crack first, and just with surface tension I hope it will. But apart from that, once I think I've put enough glue, I will apply a little bit of pressure and hold it with my hand. I don't actually have a small enough clamp to hold this small little gear. So I hope that this will actually at least be a temporary fix. One of these devices will eventually pop off in the future. I will probably find I'm not actively looking for it, but in case I ever need it, I will probably find another device to take this gear from, because actually the last one that I did, it didn't actually have this crack. But on the other hand, I don't think I checked or I looked for it, but I didn't look for this one either, but you know, it was quite obvious. So I think that's gonna be enough. I'm just gonna have to hold it for a few minutes. If it didn't do anything, it will at least hold it on the outside, which will add a little bit of structure anyway. This little gear is back in place. I'm gonna put back this, it was this one, this little build, and let's test it. For play, it works. As you can see, the cassette is turning. And then we're gonna test the fast forward and the fast reverse. Let's test the one that's already working. There it is. And the other one. And there it is. So even the clicking is gone now. And as you can see, it's basically working perfectly. Alright, so done as far as the builds are concerned. I'm just gonna put back this middle plate in place, which actually holds these two brass wheels. It's like this. But first we're gonna put a little 2 dabs of grease. We're gonna use silicone grease on this one. But first let's give it a quick clean to take off any old grease. That's perfect. Let's put just a little dab. Doesn't have to be perfect, but on the other side, that's gonna be more than enough. And which way did it go again? It was this way, I believe, or the other way. If you remember, the regular screw goes in this hole, and the other screw goes in the other one. So I'm just trying to tighten them evenly, so that's good. And now I'm gonna tighten them all the way. Not very tight, but you know they're not gonna budge. So perfect. The last thing we need to make sure that we do is that we align these two micro switches with their original positions. So we're just gonna put back everything in place. So as I can see, the other switch that was around here is aligned. It's just aligning it with this hole. So this is play. Fast forward. Fast rewind. No, there is something that's not working quite right. So what could that be? Okay, I see. I just didn't actually push in the small gear far enough. Yeah, it's way out. Was that about it? I just didn't push it in far enough, maybe. So let's see. Let's try that again. Alright, seems to be operating. Not again. Yeah, it seems to be getting out of its place, so I'm not sure exactly why. So let's see. You can see it was pushed again, I think. Not quite, but still. So after investigating this problem a little bit further, I just found that the problem was that I just didn't push the small gear far enough into its shaft. That's why it was not holding, but it was also you know, due to the super glue that I put on it, which made it a little bit tighter, which is what we actually want. But on at the same time, you know, fixing that problem, now it's glued to the shaft, and the shaft was actually attached to this spool right here, which is now free, you know, just sitting in place. There it goes. I needed to hold this shaft, this spool like this, you know, to have a little bit of pressure so that the gear would go far enough. Now that it's glued in place, this isn't really a a big problem, but it's just that, you know, there was a small ring, plastic ring, which I suspect that it's a some kind of silicone, which has, you know, greasing properties, lubricating properties. And now that I glued that one that it had to the gear itself, I was looking for something else to replace it, and I found some replacements, basically from an old Walkman. This one is a little bit too big, so I think I'm gonna put this one is actually a retaining clip, but I do have one right here which is barely visible. I think I'm gonna use this one, and let's just try it. Basically, I'm just gonna put it, you know, in place to provide a little bit of free movement to the shaft, or at least to the gear once the shaft is against it. Now that we put the gear and the shaft in place, we need to open the cassette compartment and put the spool back in its place, making sure to hold the gear and push against the spool. So just like this. So that's a little bit tight. I'm just gonna push it a little back. I'm gonna back it up a little, gone all the way. So putting it back in place, yeah, I think that with the washer, with the new washer, it's actually adding a lot of space between the two. So I'm just gonna put it back the way it was, but making sure not to tighten it too much against itself, or against the body, or where the shaft is rotating. That's actually good enough. Yeah, it's pretty good. I think that I won't get it better than that, so let's just put back the belt in place and we're gonna try it, and let's see if the problem with the if the problem persists. So I didn't actually pay enough attention. There's actually a specific groove that the belt needs to sit on this spool, so hopefully that's fixed and that's not gonna fall off anymore. So let's just put this back in place and let's see how it operates now. Alright, that seems smooth enough. Let's see. Let's put back in the microcassette for a visual. And alright, so now it's working.
Test. Test. 1, 2, 3. Test.
Don't mind that. It's just that sometimes when I touch the traces, it makes some kind of interfering noise. So let me just test the basic functions first, and we're gonna put on the screws and give it a full test. So this one works and the other one works. Alright, perfect. I think that finally solved that. So just to have a visual of what's going on. So there we have play.
Fred was finished. He stayed in his dressing room, the solitary occupant of the warder's lodge, when the gates closed and everything.
So as you can see that someone, probably the previous person that this microcassette tape belonged to, I don't know if it was made here in France or somewhere else in the world. Next we have this one is working, and the other one is also working. So that's just because the tape has reached the beginning. If we do it the other way, as you can see, this belt is actually quite perfect. So I would consider that a good, result. I'm just gonna assemble this back, and we're gonna test it after. I think that's gonna do quite right. So everything seems to be in order, so let's carry on. The final thing we're gonna need to do is just to clean up the battery compartment from all the green stuff that it has. So as you can see, so just not to do anything stupid, I'm not gonna remove it all the way. I have enough space to to clean inside of there with the cotton tip. So that's clean enough for now. So as you can see, it's way better than it was. There's just a little bit that's left on this plastic right here.
This is a test. 1, 2, 3, then.
Just that it was so good. I've never seen anything like it in the movies in my whole life, including Marlon Brando. But for all what quiz does it for playing you? I'm going to teach you that at home. Researchers have come to a conclusion that may seem alike at first.
The speed seems to me to be a bit off, but I don't know. So the last thing I did was just to clean the capstan in the pinch wheel, which as you can see has quite a lot of dirt on it. And lastly, we're just gonna give it a good clean all over, and that's gonna be it. So as you can see, I cannot sadly get it better than this, or although it's looking already quite good. But as you can see, because some of the black stuff that the leather case has left on the device, when you try to wipe it off, you kind of wipe some of the paint with it. Because this is actually a metallic body device. It's metal on this side and on this side, but this part in the middle is actually plastic. So as you can see, you kind of wipe some of the plastic away, but it's not too much, unless you are a perfectionist. But what can you do? Otherwise, it's looking quite good. Of course, there are still some traces of the oxidation that happened in the battery compartment. I'm gonna try to, but it doesn't seem to come off any more than this. Apart from that, this is gonna be it for this one. I consider it a success.
So this was the repair video of the M200 Microcassette Corder from Sony from 1978. It stayed in a good enough shape that it was able to get repaired in 2023 without too much hassle. So that's a plus in my book. I hope that you enjoyed this video. Please excuse the wow and flutter. I know it's horrible, but I wanted to do this entire outro using the audio from this device so that you will have an idea of how it is. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and if you're not already, please subscribe. Until next time, this was the Electron Age.